over to Mr. Amit Mishra from Systematix Institutional Equities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aisha. On behalf of Systematix, I would like to welcome all participants on the call. From the company, we have Mr. Challa Srishant, Managing Director, Mr. KVLN Sarma, Chief Operations Officer, Mr. Praveen Jaipuriar, CEO of Continental Coffee, Mr. V. Lakshmi Narayana, CFO, Mr. P.S. Rao, Consultant Company Secretary, and Ms. Sridevi Dasari, Company Secretary on the call. Now I would like to hand over the call to Mr. Srishant for opening remarks, and then we'll open the floor for Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. The group has achieved a turnover of 289.25 crores for the first quarter of 2020-21 as compared to rupees 273.72 crores for the corresponding quarter of the previous year, and the net profit is 38.48 crores as against 34.67 crores. The EBITDA is 62.92 crores and the profit before tax is 45.77 crores. I think we can just directly get to the questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while a question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Nitesh Jain from Birla Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Srishant. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Very well, very well. So, essentially 2 questions from my side. Number 1 is on your standalone India operations EBITDA margin. So, basically, they were lower in this quarter. The question is, what is the main reason behind it? I can understand one is the fixed cost may be higher because of the lower volume, but at the same time even the gross margin, which is simply the revenue minus raw material, is also lower. Is it because that the shipment proportion has changed? I mean, the more spray dried this quarter than FDC, or what are the main reason? I mean, this is the question number 1.
Yeah. The main reason is actually because in India we've shut down the plants over here for quite some time, and FD especially was shut down, so that is where the maximum impact is coming from. Because our Vietnam and Swiss operations are operating normally, we're not able to see on a consolidated basis that much of an impact.
So would you say that the FD proportion for the India business was significantly lower in the overall volumes in this quarter compared to say Q4?
Yes, definitely. 50%. Almost 50% reduction was there.
In the India itself, India volume,
in
not
India.
The consolidated CCL.
Yeah, in India, the standalone basis.
Okay. And now, how is the business for the high margin India business? I mean, is it on track? Are you at pre-COVID level for both spray dried as well as freeze dried?
We haven't reached the pre-COVID levels yet, but because especially countries like Russia, where majority of our customers are from, they've been asking for some postponements and all that. So we're expecting things to ease up in another month or so. So we've also planned our maintenance, shut down everything now itself in quarter 1, so that we'll be geared up for continuous production for the rest of the year. So as soon as customers start confirming that we can start dispatching, we'll get back to the normal levels.
Okay. But both the plants are now up and running?
The SEZ plant is up and running. The EOU plant is still completing some maintenance. In another few days, it should be completed. After that, we'll start the plant.
Okay. EOU, you mean the Duggirala plant?
The Duggirala plant, yeah.
Okay, great, lovely. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kashyap Zaveri from Emkay Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Good numbers.
Kashyap, your line is in talk mode. You can go ahead, please.
Hello. Yeah, am I audible? Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, you are audible. You can
Am I
go
audible?
ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm saying, so, sir, congratulations on, really good numbers in, extremely challenging times. Really congratulations for that. First question is on, you mentioned about the EBITDA margins in the previous question. But, I'm just looking at your gross profit for the quarter on consolidated basis, which is about 130 crores. And compared to Q1 of last year, that number is actually flat when, volumes for the quarter would have actually declined. So, given that there was a plant shutdown because of COVID, have we seen significant expansion on per kg margins for the quarter at both gross margins as well as, EBITDA margins level?
Yeah, hi, this is Sharma. While Indian operations are on a subdued scale because of the lockdown and subsequently small maintenance on freeze-drying, the Vietnam plant was running to the full capacity. So there was a better contribution from Vietnam plant during this month. The gross margin levels, as you know, when spray-dried powder is spray-dried is in major quantity, the gross margin levels will slightly be lower, but they are in line. In fact, even on a standalone basis and on a consolidated basis also, we were when the spray-dried capacities are there, it will range between around 45 to 48%, and they are in line with that. Secondly, because of these for reschedulements, so we are still maintaining substantial quantities of freeze-dried product because we have produced these quantities for enabling capacity utilization. If you have seen our financials, you must have seen against our some 36 crores of closing stock last year, only 11 crores was adjusted. So we are still carrying inventory, and these the dispatches and benefit of these carrying inventory will come in the subsequent quarters.
Okay. Second question is on, generally on the broader market. You also alluded on the same in the Q4 conference call also. In terms of consumption of coffee globally, if you could, give some comments on, the growth in ground coffee as well as instant coffee volumes in line of, this work from home culture, which, probably may continue for a fairly long period of time. So what impact could it have on both the instant coffee business where, we have significant presence as well as the ground coffee, consumption also?
Okay. So for the ground coffee, we've been seeing that there has been a slight decline in roasted ground coffee consumption because of the coffee shops being shut across the world during the lockdown period. And the in-home segment of instant coffee seems to be increasing across the world. So
sorry, which segment in instant coffee? I missed out on.
No, the instant coffee segment, the in-home consumption instant coffee segment.
Okay.
That segment seems to be increasing across the world, to be frank. So we've seen a increase in offtake from our customers, the brands and all, at least initially when the panic buying was there, they were stocking up on more volumes because people who are used to drinking a cup of coffee on a regular basis, now they don't have the option of going to a coffee shop. So that's why they were sitting in the house and consuming more of instant coffee. So that's one of the reasons why we've also seen an increase in volumes for instant coffee.
Okay. And in terms of instant coffee, what would we break up between at home and out of home?
That is something which is very difficult to answer.
But broadly, would it be more in favor of at home? Largely in favor of at home?
At home only, but definitely there are a lot of institutions, offices that buy instant coffee, larger pack jars and everything, and they make fresh coffee for their employees.
Okay.
But I'd say maybe more than 90% of the consumption will be from in-home segment. Okay.
And just one last question. In terms of, and this is not to do with the quarter, but generally about let's say strategy of our company. How much difference can small packs versus bulk packaging can make on our EBITDA per kg? Can it be substantial difference?
Oh, the quantities that currently what we are producing in smaller packs is substantially less. In fact, of our entire capacity, we have only about 10 to 15% of small packs. So the differential in EBITDA, it will be on a value-added component. So broadly, if we say there is a value addition of about $2 for a small pack, there can be about 15 to 20% EBITDA additional margin on that. But the volumes that we have right now are approximately 10 to 15% of our total capacity.
Thank you. Kashyap, we would request you to please come back in the question queue for any follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Richard D'Souza from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Shashank.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, congrats on a decent set of numbers. Just a couple of questions from my side. When we look at the exports from India, which got stalled because of the logistics issue, were there any loss of customers in EU or US because we couldn't supply them material?
No, we didn't lose any customers. In all cases, most of our customers, they place orders at least 1 year in advance.
Okay.
So if there is something which is unforeseen that happens, they can come. They'll usually come and request us for a postponement or something like that. In our case, we've accepted that postponement in order to maintain that relationship with our customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, you recently mentioned that there were some closures of cafe chains in EU and US, and a lot of restaurants have also closed down. But along with this, given the financial problems of a lot of small and medium roasters, they too would have closed down. So would you have any idea of how the consolidation has taken place within the space for roasters?
Very frankly, no. Most of what we have seen is that reduction in demand has had an impact on the coffee prices. And when we got into more details, we understood why that impact took place. But what is happening, frankly, we're not in that segment at all of supplying roasted coffee to coffee shops and all that. We're not in that segment at all, so we don't really monitor that segment very closely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The ancillary question to this is that it is seen that even in in-house consumption, there is an increasing dominance of those single-serve packs and all that stuff. So do we have any plans to get into it?
Well, single-serve definition is actually a little broad over here. We are already in the single-serve segment where we have single-serve sachets which we are selling in the market. Our sale of single-serve sachets within India has gone up multifold, to be frank.
Okay.
And the single serve which maybe you are referring to could be like in the Western world, the pods.
The capsules, pods.
Yeah, the capsule.
Yeah.
In India, that capsule business itself is almost non-existent. But across the world, yes, the pod business is growing and is expected to grow at a CAGR of almost about 5.7% or something like that.
Okay.
So that is also coming under in-home consumption segment.
Okay. But are we planning to get into that? Because
yes, we are exploring some options because some of our existing customers only have been asking us to supply some of these pods as well. Now that the patent has run out, now we can officially pitch for this business as well. So we are exploring that as well.
Okay. One last question from me. We believe that in the first quarter you onboarded a customer from US in your Vietnam facility. So any such customer additions will be there for this year or over the next few quarters?
We are constantly adding new customers all the time. There are some major customers whose business that we are pitching for and all. When exactly that will materialize is something which we cannot definitively say. Even this particular customer has taken us quite some time, in fact almost a year of talking to them, building up that relationship, the rapport, and then doing a lot of production trials in quarter 4 of last year and getting the approvals. All that process took some time. And finally, the particular customer came on board and they signed a 1-year contract, and we are quite confident that they'll keep renewing it every year.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chetan Gindodia from AlfAccurate Advisors. Please go ahead.
Very touched upon. My question is more on the guidance. So last call you had said that for FY21, though not on the revenue side, on the profit side we can see a double-digit kind of a growth. So any word on that? And secondly, on the freeze-dried capacity, you said that this quarter the mix was slightly on the lower side. So what had led to that? Is the mix going to return back to normalcy from next quarter? It was just a shipment delay, or was there any other reason for it? Thank you.
The profit side, the double-digit growth that we are expecting is mainly because in Vietnam we have a tax-free status over there. And as far as India is concerned, the SEZ is also operational and will be utilizing the capacity a little more this year. There is FD is one thing where, to be very frank, we had expected maybe a 75% utilization during this year. We are still trying our best to target that same utilization, but there could be a slight variation here and there because there are a lot of things which are not in our control at this point in time. If customers ask for postponements and all that, we don't have much of a choice except to postpone that supplies. So if that happens, one thing what we are seeing is there's an increase in spray-dried demand, and people are not asking for any postponements in this particular segment because it's more of a value segment for most customers. And we're trying our best to at least make up for that volume with spray-dried during this year.
Okay. And what had led to the sharp revenue growth in the Vietnam subsidiary in this quarter? So we saw the subsidiary numbers revenue go up by almost 65 to 70%. So what had led to that growth?
I think we've already mentioned that. No, we've added one new customer from the US, and that's one of the reasons why the volumes have also increased quite a bit, and that impact should be there for the rest of the year as well.
Okay. Okay. And just the last one from my side. Can you give us the capacity utilization for this quarter for India and Vietnam business?
Well, in India, we are almost at peak utilization for the Dugirala plant. The SEZ plant, we had projected around 75% utilization during this year. That can range between maybe 65 to 75 this year based on how things shape up. And as far as Vietnam is concerned, we are actually operating at almost 100% utilization based on the current capacity. And by the end of quarter 3, our new enhanced capacity should also come online. That project also unfortunately got delayed because the engineers were not allowed to travel from India because of the travel advisory and all that. So we are expecting that installation to be completed in quarter 3.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Akella from IIFL Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, good morning and thank you so much. And congratulations on a good quarter. Just a few small clarifications. One was whether there has been any deferral of orders from 1Q into 2Q because of postponement from the customer's end, and if you could just share how much that quantum might have been.
Yeah, there was, because the logistics were restored only during May. We were supplying our existing quantities which we were carrying towards end of March during May. So whatever we were producing during the months of May in our SEZ, we had to maintain that stocks. So if you have seen our financials, you must have seen that at the end of last year, we were carrying an inventory of about 40 crores or so, out of which only about 11 crores or so was adjusted in finances. So we are carrying almost 75% of the inventory that we were having at the year end. That means that inventory which we were having was dispatched, and what was produced during the quarter 1, they got deferred to the second quarter. So these dispatches will take place during August and September. So that will be reflected in this quarter's dispatches.
Okay. So around 30 crores, sir, is that a fair number?
Yeah.
Okay. And second thing also, just to clarify, there was one comment made earlier on the call about a 50% drop in standalone volumes. I just wanted to clarify, this is only for the freeze-dried at Chittoor, right? A 50% sequential drop in volume in this quarter?
No, it's in freeze-dried.
Yeah, not in overall standalone.
Almost 55 days we had to shut down the plant due to lockdown. And then subsequently we were operating a SEZ, but since there were, even if you remember, Russia has gone into lockdown a little late, around the month of May or so. So because of this reschedulements, the drop in FD production was there. And then, so it was mainly on FD. How's it?
Yeah, got it, sir. And one last quick thing. On the employee cost and other expenses, the run rate is a bit low this quarter. I guess it's because of the lower operations. But from 2Q, should we assume that it comes back to a normal run rate? And if so, what would a good normal quarterly run rate be for these two expense items?
Only marketing expenses, and mostly it will be on the power and fuel that we come back to the normal levels. Power and fuel, because we were not operating for 50 days, the power and fuel costs were lesser. Other things, they should come back to normal levels as they were there.
Right, so got it. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dheeraj Shah from PhillipCapital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. So my question is pertaining to the freeze-dried facility because it's being a high-value product. So are we seeing any demand destruction due to down trading?
No, as of now, we have not seen demand destruction. It is only reschedulements that were asked for. So since we were already having 50 days lockdown in India, so that much capacity is already lost. And when we have restarted the plant, we were liquidating the closing stocks that we were having during March. So those things are being liquidated during May and April. And we have utilized the plant during May and June as well in SEZ, which we are still carrying as an inventory to be dispatched in second quarter. So it's not a demand going out, it's about reschedulement, and from now onwards we are expecting that the operation should be normal on 80 capacity.
So this year you are targeting, sir, around 65 to 75%. So do you expect optimum utilization by next year?
Things, see, this year itself we are not able to predict how things will be. So if a normal functioning was enabled, we would have reached optimum utilization this year itself. But because of these compulsive conditions, there may be a slight reduction in capacity utilization vis-a-vis product mix as well. So whenever the things are normal, we are geared up for full optimum utilization. If it is from next month onwards, we are geared up.
And sir, how was the performance in Indian business, Continental brand? What was the revenue we did?
Revenue? Yeah.
Hi, Praveen this side. You asked
Yes,
for the first quarter?
Yes, sir, Q1.
So we did reasonably well in the first quarter. We almost clocked around 40% growth in this quarter. So things have been good. Yes, there has been a lot of disruptions on the bulk side and on the institutional side. But the retail has done extremely well, and because of that, at an overall level, we clocked around 40% growth.
The figure, sir?
Yeah? It's almost, 21 plus. 20, close to 22 crore.
22 crore. Okay. And so what would be the capex for FY21?
For FY21, whatever we've told earlier last year, there's the same capex which we'll be incurring this year. So about 120 crores for the packing and agglomeration facility, and that $8 million in Vietnam for the enhancement of capacity by an additional 3,500 tons.
So how much we have spent for in FY20?
In FY?
20, sir. How much we have spent for this capex?
Oh, in FY20, around 60 crores is the amount that was spent in to complete the SEZ works and other works. This the entire amount for the amounts that I just mentioned are going to be spent in this year.
Okay. And last, how is the current coffee prices right now on a year-on-year basis?
As of now, the prices in the last 1 week, 1.5 weeks have increased a little bit. There's almost a 10 to 15% increase in green coffee prices. But that we feel that's more of a temporary phenomenon because the lot of people who have not covered the green coffee, but what they've booked on a differential basis. So they're going into the market and buying the coffee quite aggressively. But from a demand perspective, there is a slight reduction in demand because of the coffee shops and all that what I mentioned earlier. And this also is likely to get corrected going forward.
Okay. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Gupta from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Good morning. Sir, the first question is on this Vietnam. You mentioned that it has already achieved almost 100% utilization, and there is a debate.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Rohan, you're not audible. Can you speak a little clearer and louder, please?
Yeah, I hope it's better now.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Sir, I was asking that you have Vietnam plant is already 100% utilization, and there has been some delays, as you mentioned, in increasing the capacity that may now be achieved by end of Q4 because of the restrictions on the movement from India. So in that case, you see that the new customers which we have added from US and also the new market which we have gained will be impacted?
No, there won't be any impact because we're expecting that capacity to come in by Q3, towards the end of Q3. By the end of this calendar year, we should hopefully come in with that additional capacity. But we are planning our production also accordingly so that we ensure that we deliver to this customer without any delays.
Okay, and sir, this is 3,000 tons which you are going to add, right?
For this year, yes, approximately.
Right, and currently we are already operating. You mentioned that close to 10,000 tons we are fully utilizing, or there is some still room for growth in those Vietnam market, Vietnam plant?
No, we're looking at around 10,000 tons for this year, and depending on how things shape up going forward. As of now, we feel that we should be able to reach that 10,000 approximately.
Is there any scope for the better product mix in Vietnam? Because if you look at the current run rate, I mean, not just revenues, but at quarterly, for the current quarter EBITDA level. So I'm just looking at that. Is there any scope for better product mix that this EBITDA run rate of 28-29 crore can improve from here, or is the best utilization in terms of product mix as well?
We are incorporating some additional manufacturing flexibilities in the expanded capacity. So expanded capacity can bring in a few more better products, quality products, which will enable improvement in the margins.
Okay. Sir, coming on India operation, so definitely our FD capacities have been impacted, and you mentioned that the plant has been resumed from this month onward, or there is still some hiccup in operations we are seeing?
The SD plant has resumed from May itself, towards the end of May. And the FD plant in Dugirala, we haven't resumed yet because we are still completing some maintenance works which got delayed because of non-movement of people. And the SEZ plant has been resumed more than a month ago.
Okay, so as of now, in month of July or maybe in August, we are going to see 100% production from India? If there is enough demand?
Yes, from August onwards, we should be seeing a 100% production, yes.
Okay, and you mentioned that demand is showing some weakness, mainly coming from markets where are still locked down like Russia and also. So though on the production side, challenges are now done and we have overcome that, now it's all about the demand which is still showing some weakness from some of the markets, right?
Yes, so we still have to wait and see if this vaccine comes out earlier, then a lot of things will definitely improve. If it gets delayed a little bit more, and depending on the ground level situation at a customer's end, things could change over time. As of now, as I mentioned earlier, most of our customers, they placed orders with us in advance. So as far as the order book is concerned, we are very comfortable. It's a question about execution of those orders, which is why we cannot definitively say that yes, we will 100% achieve whatever we have committed to. Based on our order books, we'll definitely achieve. But based on practical situations, something could change at any point in time. So if that changes, that's when we'll keep the market also informed.
Okay, and just a last from my side. Sir, globally there has been a lot of impact on few of the retailers because of the COVID scenario. have any of our large customers have seen such problems or bankruptcy or getting out of the business? Have you seen any of such things happening with the customer?
None of our customers have gone through this. In fact, for especially Spray-Dried and all, we've had customers come back to us saying that, can you please give us an assurance that you will not delay in supplies and things like that. Because of the panic buying, they've seen an increase in demand. It's not the other way around.
Okay. And sir, is the other way around, like any of the manufacturer or processor you have seen that your competitor is getting out of business? We have heard that in Brazil in last 2 to 3 years, many small shops were opened. They started processing on a very small scale for global players. Have you seen that any of such unorganized or new entrants who have come just in last 2 to 3 years are getting out of the business, helping you to grow further?
Every year, normally we keep seeing this, but that's out of regular operations, not because of COVID or anything. We do see that a lot of people come, there are new capacities that keep coming online. There are old capacities, people who have not been able to sustain, they're going out of business. We've been seeing this happen over the years. And people keep building new capacities also every year. In fact, in India, there's some new capacities that have come in. In Vietnam, there's some new capacities that are going to come in from next year onwards. So these capacities will always keep getting built. In fact, if you've been tracking the company for a while, you'll realize that there's more than 50% excess production capacity which is there in the world. That is the extent of competition that is there in this segment.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. And if I have any follow-up question, I'll come back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Zade from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Thanks first for the opportunity. So just wanted to understand our revenue and EBITDA performance for the first quarter in Vietnam. Is that possible?
Yeah, I'll answer that.
Revenue, we did about 107 crores turnover with an EBITDA of about 30 crores.
Okay. And actually, sir, we have seen some FY19 decline in EBITDA margins in Vietnam. That was due to some. What was the reason for that? Because I see FY20 we did around EBITDA margin of 29% versus around 33% in FY19. So should that be normalized in FY21?
No, it's a normal business cycle that we will go through, and a detailed explanation will be detrimental to the business. We have to go into too much of technicalities and explain.
Okay.
We wish to assure you that the business cycle was normal at that point of time. And any specific clarification I can give on a one-to-one.
Sure, sir. That was helpful, sir. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Akhil Parekh from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. My first question is on the Continental Coffee business. Do we continue to maintain that we can become PAT positive by end of FY21 for this business, the domestic business?
This year it's a little tough to predict right now because we are going through a lot of ups and downs considering the situation that is going around. So very difficult to predict as of now. We are trying to be, I am not very sure PAT positive or not, but our first objective is to drive the top line, and that is where we are concentrating. So, maybe closer to the year end and when the things are getting a little more normal, we'll probably be able to predict a little better on this.
Okay. My second question is on the...
We said, see, the mandate that has been given to Praveen also was that for the first 5 years, forget about PAT, just focus on the top line growth.
Okay.
We have to create a self-sustaining branded business is the objective that we have given him. Anyway, as far as the parent company is concerned, we are able to sell more coffee, and we are able to show that growth also, which is why we wanted to remove that pressure from Praveen.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, fair enough. And my second question is on the Switzerland subsidiary. We saw a sharp spike in sales at the end of FY20. And the sales, as per the annual report, has moved from 40 odd crore to 135 odd crore in Switzerland. Do we see similar kind of run rate even for FY21?
Can you just repeat that? We were not able to hear you.
Sure, I'll repeat. My question is on the Switzerland subsidiary. We have seen a sharp improvement in the Switzerland subsidiary at the end of FY20. And do we expect that kind of a run rate going forward even in FY21?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Well, this year it might even out from the second quarter itself, because last year we started supplying some from around September or so into the retail supermarkets. Since we have renewed contracts with them for this year also, this year it might be evening out more from the later part of second quarter and the third quarter onwards. Somewhere from September onwards, it will be uniform.
Okay. Last question on the maintenance shutdown. So how many days we have lost at SEZ because of the plant shutdown?
Maybe shutdown.
55 days. From April 1st to around May 25th.
Okay.
That is slightly longer.
Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Lokesh Manik from Vallum Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, good morning to all. Just a couple of questions from my side. One was to continue on the previous participant's question on the pot segment. You mentioned we are planning to enter that segment. As I understand, that is mainly roast and ground. So are we entering roast and ground? Just a clarification on that.
We've already been in the roasted ground segment for years. In fact, the branded business, Malgudi, is all roasted ground coffee only.
But majority is instant, where we focus upon.
Yes. The primary focus has always been instant. But roasting coffee is something which anybody and everybody can do. And there is a lot more competition in this segment. That's the main reason why we've not focused on this segment exclusively. Because anyone with a small roaster and a grinder can get this segment very easily. The capex required also is very, very less.
Right, but we do have the advantage of blends. Does that play a role in this? No.
Exactly. So if we are creating new blends, new products and all that, definitely and economies of scale also advantages there. So this is a segment that we can get into, but we've never found it as attractive a segment as the instant coffee segment.
Understood.
It have shelf life issues and several other things also.
Margins are also low.
Okay. Understood. That's it, sir, from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Richard D'Souza from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Sir, if you look beyond the next 4-5 quarters, and once demand comes back and logistic issues are solved, if you look at the expansion which you have done in Vietnam and also the FDC reaching optimum utilization, so just wanted to understand what would our strategy be beyond that? Once we reach optimum utilization both in Vietnam and in India, will we still look at debottlenecking some of the plants and doing some incremental expansions, or whether we'll be looking at some larger stuff there?
Well, as of now, the plants, I think almost everyone's already aware. When we build the plants, we built with the option of doubling the capacity. So Vietnam, we can further enhance the capacity by even another 15,000 tons. In India, we can add another 5,000 tons in FD as well. So there's a potential 20,000 tons of enhancement that we can do by just installation of equipment.
Okay.
And yeah, there are a lot of value-added products that we are also getting into, and there's constant innovation that is always taking place. So a lot of new products that we have created as well. So all this takes place on a constant basis, and most importantly, the small packs that we will be getting into as well after the new facility is up and running.
Okay. So will it be fair to say that as you move up the value chain, will it be vacating the volumes at the lower end? So looking at your volumes would be meaningless going ahead. The better idea would be to look at your gross margin.
Well, right now it's both volume as well as value driven, and I think that will still continue for some more time. We do have new parties that we are constantly adding and all that, and there are several big customers who are even bigger than the ones that we've added now. We are actually slowly targeting these customers as well. If those volumes come in and if we get selected as a primary vendor, then capacity utilization will be even more. We'll have to go in for expansion a little faster as well.
Okay. So all the best, sir. I hope you crack those customers.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sachin Shah from FK Invest Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for this opportunity. At the cost of a little bit of a repetition, but I missed that. Can you tell me what was our exact volumes for the quarter that we just got over?
Frankly, exact volumes is something that we don't normally give because that is again going to be detrimental for the company.
Okay. So, since you mentioned that we haven't had any major cancellation of orders, but it's more about postponement. So, will it be fair to say that for the full year, on a full year basis, our total volume should be similar to what we did on the March 20 year?
It should be a little more than what we've done last year.
Okay, in spite of, but would you say that at least the first quarter volumes were lower overall compared to the last year first quarter because of the shutdown or whatever overall?
No, actually first quarter also the absolute volumes were a little higher.
Okay, in terms of our sales?
Yeah, in terms of sales. Yeah. Production was lower, but the sales were higher.
Yeah, because we were carrying an inventory at the end of last year.
Right.
Whatever was resultant of the lockdown last time.
Okay. So some bit of the last year's sales actually happened in this first quarter. So adjusted for that, actually it would be flat for the full year?
No, but there is a potential to see the product mix might change, but there is because of the capacity cushion that we have in Vietnam and the additional customers that we have, we are still at this point of time anticipating that there would be an increase in volumes of vis-a-vis the operations, there being no further disruptions and so on.
Okay, thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tanvi Shetty from Axis Security. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thanks for taking my question, sir. I wanted to know the revenue contribution in terms of broad percentages across continents like Europe, Asia, US, Russia. A ballpark number would be fine.
Well, for US, we are doing around this year. Actually, the volume percentages keep changing from year to year. This year, I think we'll be at around 20% in US. In Europe, we'll be at maybe another 20% over there. Russia and CIS will be around maybe 25%. And rest of the world, Asia, Africa, and other places will be the balance.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And wanted to know by what time will the small pack capacity, agglomeration capacity come online?
By beginning of next financial year.
Beginning of next financial year. So by then, can we expect the 10 to 20% contribution right now from the small pack? Can it double?
Right now it's about 10 to 15% what we have. Once the new capacity comes online, I wouldn't say double in the first year itself, but there should be at least a 60% increase in small packs in the first year itself.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And I wanted to know any margin guidance for FY 21 and 22.
It's too early to tell right now. This year itself, there are too many variable factors which are not in our control. We have no idea how things will shape up. Our constant endeavor is to keep growing our volumes and keep introducing new products and increasing our product mix, adding new customers. So that's the fundamental basis which our company is built. I guess we'll continue to focus on that.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Lokesh Manik from Vallum Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you again, sir, for the opportunity. Just one question on the small pack segment. You mentioned that we are doing 10 to 15% of our existing capacity. In your view, what is the potential for this to go up to from 10 to 15% for our existing customers, which we can tap?
Around 30% is what we can go up to.
Okay. And sir, again, just at the cost of repetition, coming back to the pod segment, what would be the potential market size for this segment globally?
That's a difficult question to answer.
The existing market size and volumes, if you would be aware of.
I can just tell you 1 second. I have the 35.3 billion is the estimate for 2020. That's the market size.
Okay.
It's expected to reach 51.3 billion by 2027.
Okay, that's 35.5, right? 33.5.
Yeah, 35.3.
35.3. Okay.
Yeah.
And that will reach to 51.5.
Yeah, that's by 2027.
Fair enough. That's it from my side, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Mahawar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Srishant.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, just I know you will never share the volume for the quarter, but can it possible to give a high, we have reached 6% revenue growth for this quarter. So what was the volume growth and the realization or product mix change for the quarter? In terms of growth, I'm not talking about absolute numbers. It's a growth if you can share.
See, growth you've seen, there's almost like a 6% growth in turnover and all, no?
Right. So what was the volume growth possibly?
Volume growth, I don't know, approximately maybe plus or minus 2-3%.
So, plus or minus?
Well, that's the best way I can answer your question. What do you want me to say?
Okay. No, sure. I'll just maybe discuss it offline. And second thing, how much of export incentive we have booked in this quarter?
Around 7 crores.
Okay. And last year, same quarter?
Same.
Same number. Okay, and how much would be for this year expectation for the export incentive? As last year, I think it was 34 odd crores. Hello?
We would request the participants to please stay connected as the line for the management got disconnected. Thank you for patiently waiting. We have the management reconnected. So you can go ahead, please.
Yeah, the export incentive was the same as last year.
Okay, and what was the expectation for this year as a whole?
Pardon? What was that?
What would the number for this year export incentive? As last year, I think the 34 crores we have booked in the revenue.
Yeah, around the same number, around maybe 35 crores or something like that is what we're expecting this year.
Okay. And maybe what could be the tax rate possible for this year? Because I think we are, or incremental, our capex will be coming at separate subsidiary for us because we have set up a separate subsidiary for Continental Coffee, right? For the capex perspective, what could be the blended tax rate for us for this year and maybe next year possible?
Because we have the MAT credit and all, I think around 20% is the effective tax rate that we're expecting this year.
Okay. But on a consolidated basis, right?
Pardon?
On a consolidated basis, because Vietnam, we don't have any tax, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Oh, okay. And last question, Srishant, on I think we are doing some cold brew coffee in the US, I believe. So how that is performing and what is the expectation for this year and next year to ramp up this business?
Okay, so this is actually a very niche segment that we are looking at. We've done quite a bit of investment in getting the right technology in place, and we created a more dedicated R&D team for this particular product. And going forward for the US market, that is where we are seeing that there's a huge demand for this cold brew. We've created some spray-dried versions as well as freeze-dried versions of this cold brew as of now. There are some customers of ours in the US who have placed an order in small packs for the first time, and this product is going to be sold for the first time in the US in the supermarket shelf itself. So, looking at this big retailer who has bought this from us, and looking at this, we're quite confident that there are several more people who will start approaching us for the same product. And by virtue of its nature, there's a cost advantage for the consumer who wants to prepare cold brew compared to the traditional method. So there's a lot of R&D that has gone into this, and because we are the first ones in the world to come up with this technology, we'll have that first mover advantage at least for the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay. And what could be the revenue we expect for this year, Srishant, and maybe the peak potential, revenue potential for this product particularly?
For this particular product, our base is right now still very small. We are looking at maybe doing about 100 tons of this particular product in the first year. And going forward, we can easily go up to even 500-600 tons in the next year or two. There is a good potential for further growth. In fact, some of our customers who've seen these products, including some of the big brands that we're already supplying to, they were pleasantly surprised to see the product and the quality that we were able to supply. One of our major customers, they have about 3,000 coffee shops in some of the countries. And they've done a cost calculation and they realized that they'll be saving almost 60% in product cost if they buy from us. So that's the reason why they're now talking to us. They're asking us to do a proof of concept and all that. If that works, then for the first time we can actually start supplying instant coffee to the coffee shops as well. Coffee shops that normally take only roasted ground coffee, we can actually target these shops as potential customers as well.
Okay. And if possible, last one more question, just a clarification. You said freeze-dried coffee volumes has declined almost 50% this quarter, right? For us. So this is only this is overall company's FDC freeze-dried volumes, or this is we are purely talking about the Chittor plant only?
No. This is overall company's freeze-dried volumes.
Freeze-dried volumes. Okay, sure. Thank you and all the best, Srishant.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jignesh Kamani from GMO. Please go ahead.
Hi, Srishant and team.
Yeah.
I just want to know on the maintenance of the freeze-dried plant. Any color, will there be any able to increase our capacity marginally, or any color on the freeze-dried plant? And will there be any reduction in the overhead and the running cost, and hence improvement in the margin from the plant post the maintenance is over?
Right now we were actually supposed to shut down the plant, do that maintenance, but we were supposed to get the engineers from Europe. Unfortunately, they were not able to make it because of this COVID impact. So this capacity enhancement portion and improvements that we wanted to do, it looks like it will get postponed to next year. Okay. We can't afford to do another plant shutdown during this year. So that will get postponed to next year.
But then it will again require such 50-50 days kind of shutdown for the, you can say, capacity enhancement in future?
Yes, it will require at least a 2-month shutdown again for next year.
And second thing, you mentioned about that some of the order, particularly in the freezer, has been deferred because client is asking for that. And if you remember, we generally lock in both of finished product price and green coffee price at the time of ordering. So if there is any deferment of the contract, will customers still honor the older pricing, or depend upon the coffee price movement, they will ask for the revised pricing?
No. They will. A contract is a contract here. Just the way green coffee also, we don't have the option of changing the prices. Same thing with the customers also. They will take it as the contracted price.
It will just impact the revenue from one quarter to quarter without impacting profitability.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Srishant, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kashyap Zaveri from NK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Sir, thank you very much for another opportunity. You made a comment that, IC market from about 35 odd billion is expected to grow to about 51.5 billion in 2027, which is almost like 5% plus CAGR. Now, if I look at two of the largest player in the segment, which is Nestle and JDE, over last many years, that top line has been, relatively flat, at least in the coffee segment. Can one deduce that, the other brands, which might be boutique or region-specific brands, those are growing faster than the industry leader, or how does one corroborate this number?
Yeah. So earlier, because there was a patent that was there, Nestle was able to grow the volumes quite substantially because nobody else was allowed to make those pods except them. Now that everybody is allowed to make the product, you have companies like Caffuccino, Dunkin' Donuts, Gloria Jeans, Keurig, Lavazza, the Seattle's Best Coffee, Starbucks, Folgers, Kraft. Everybody is in this segment now. So all the big guys are taking part in this segment, and all of them have started selling their products in their respective markets, and they're going up against Nestle. So Nestle.
So which product is this? Which went off patent? Sorry.
The pod.
I'm actually there is some network issue. I'm not able to.
No, you were asking about the coffee pods, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm referring to that only.
Okay. So that's one segment which is growing faster, and because of which the overall market, other players are growing faster than Nestle. Is that?
They're growing faster because the patent has run out for Nestle, and
Okay.
now all these other players can now officially supply to the same Nestle machines that people have already purchased.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So that's the main reason why everybody is getting into this segment, and
Okay.
they're going up against Nestle.
And people are I mean, the product is finding acceptance versus what could be supplied by the Nestle in the same machine.
Yeah, because it's a different, like Nestle, they'll give you one set of products for this particular machine. Now
Right.
you have a wider range of products that you can buy. Coffee is a personal choice end of the day. There are
Right.
several customers who still prefer to buy the Nestle product because they're used to it, they like the taste profile and all that. There's no such thing as good or bad over here. It's 100% an individual taste preference that matters. So
Right,
that's the reason
right.
why people keep changing as well. Sometimes they want to try something new, they'll try it from some other brand.
Right. And just additional one question on this, capacity addition which you mentioned by, competitors. Any comments on what is Olam and Kesik doing over next about 2 years, if you have any idea on that?
Kesiki is going in for some expansion from what they announced a couple of months ago. So I think that is supposed to come online maybe this year or next year. Olam has already completed their expansion. They've come up with a freeze drying line along with us around the same time.
Okay. Any capacity indicated?
Yes, that's 5,000 tons.
5,000 tons.
Yeah, freeze dried.
Okay. Just one last question on this Russian market. Russian ruble has depreciated vis-a-vis, INR by almost about more than 5%. Would it have any impact on us, or are we hedged against, that depreciation?
So we do all the buying and selling in USD. So our green coffee is in USD, our finished product is in USD, so there's no impact for us.
Okay. That's it from my side, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last question is from the line of Dhiral Shah from
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity once again, sir. So my question is pertaining to the Vietnam facility. In FY20, we did a capacity utilization of 70%, and the revenue run rate was around 262 crore, right? So we have seen good improvement in realization, around 2%, sir, on a YOY basis. So what was the rationale behind that?
This quarter we have the capacity utilization was almost to the extent of 100%.
So in FY20?
FY20 it was about 67 to 70%.
Yes, sir. So despite of coffee prices declining almost 10 to 15% during the year, sir, our Vietnam realization went up by 10%, sir. So what was the rationale behind that?
We have the new major customer from US we have added, no? So the margin was better, and also the economies of scale achieving about 100% utilization is enabled a better margin.
So do you expect this realization to sustain, sir?
On a 10,000 ton capacity, we are expecting that we would be doing about, on an overall basis, we should be doing about 90% utilization this year. So if not at this level, it will be marked improvement from the last year.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you all for joining us on this conference call. Looking forward to speaking with all of you after next quarter results are announced. And we'll keep everyone updated with any developments that are taking place. We'll keep informing the stock exchange also in due course as and when there is a change. Thank you all and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Systematics, I would like to thank you and your team, and also all participants for joining us on this call. Thank you.
Thank you for organizing everything also.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. On behalf of Systematics Institutional Equities, that concludes today's conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.